What's up, y'all? This one is for my fellow insomniacs out there. It is Tuesday, the 18th of July. Hope y'all are doing pretty good. We're looking at Ben Shapiro's daughter, I think she is, Brett Cooper. Let's just dive right into the video.
And more responsibility than I have ever had in my entire life. And I realized that the alcohol and the fun with alcohol was not worth it, and that it was only socially and mentally holding me back. So I stopped. And I have never been happier with the decision. I think it has utterly changed the direction of my life. And I was not somebody that drank all the time, but it definitely did not make me feel good. And it was something that I always regretted later on. And I have loved opening my eyes after I stopped drinking to how prevalent this is actually becoming. So we're going to talk about that today. But before we get...
So she even says this, alcohol is kind of a personal decision. Who really cares? But yeah, I'm glad that she's happy not drinking. But the crazy thing in this video is that all the reasons she lists as why she's happy to stop drinking alcohol are very similar to the reasons people have when they stop eating animals, or why they're happy after they stop eating animals. So the first thing she talks about is just how Gen Z is more and more sober than their parents, etc., and future generations before them.
How Gen Z is not only, fueling the rise of flip phones, but Gen Z is also becoming the most sober generation, which shocked a lot of people. It shocked me, but I found an article here to reference again in case you guys did not see that episode. With Gen Z becoming a relatively sober generation, a 2018 report from the Berenberg Research shows that the demographic drinks 20% less than millennials, while millennials are also drinking less than Gen X and baby boomers. And as Gen Z continues to refuse alcohol indulgence, the public is likely to see increased promotion of non-alcoholic beverages like mocktails and CBD-infused drinks. And I think that Gen Z being the sober generation is awesome. I love seeing that because
I agree. Yeah, so this, of course, parallels to veganism. Let's take a look at the recent data about what's going on with vegans. Over 40 years old, only 7% of people say they're vegan, whereas under 40 years old, the number is 18%. So yeah, just Gen Z, millennials, etc., are more vegan than older generations.
This is what changed my mind. It was a Washington Post article that came out in March 31st. So literally I stopped drinking on April 1st. So it was like right after. They said, no, moderate drinking isn't good for your health. Despite a long-held belief that moderate amounts of alcohol are good for you, a sweeping new analysis finds that the more you drink, the higher your risk of early death. And they said that the review, which examined existing research on the health and drinking habits of nearly 5 million people, is one of the largest studies to debunk the widely held belief that moderate drinking of wine or alcoholic beverages is good for you. Last year, researchers in Britain examined genetic and medical data of nearly 400,000 people and concluded that even low alcohol intake was associated with increased risk of disease. The new study, which appears Friday in JAMA Network Open, also found that drinking relatively low levels of alcohol, 25 grams a day for women, less than 1 ounce, and 45 grams, about 1.5 ounces per day for men, actually increased the risk of death. This new study literally went against everything that we have heard for the last couple of decades. Like, oh, just have a glass of wine at night, it's good for your heart. Like the 7 science-backed health benefits of drinking red wine, and moderate drinking may actually be good for your brain. And this article...
Okay, yeah, as far as I know, she's completely correct. Alcohol, not great for you. But this is similar to processed meat right here. Sufficient evidence in humans that the consumption of processed meat causes colorectal cancer. Additionally, red meat is probably carcinogenic to humans right here. So if Brett is open to, quitting alcohol because it's bad for you, I wonder if she'd be open to stop eating red meat and processed meat because it's also bad for you. And this next point she makes is pretty interesting. I would love to see her be consistent with it. So let's take a look.
Especially now that we know that the alcohol industry was behind most of these studies. They were funding the studies that said, oh, just have a little bit, it's good for your brain. No, actually, newsflash, it's not. Guys, this is serious.
Yes, this is a huge issue with conflict of interest, of course. Let's take a look if there's any similarities between that and meat. Okay, so this study says moderate consumption of lean red meat as part of a balanced diet is unlikely to increase risk for cardiovascular disease or colon cancer. I wonder if this study was funded by the Livestock and Meat Commission. That's kind of weird. And then I wonder if the same thing happened with this study. Evidence suggests that a diet including more eggs than is recommended may be used safely as part of a healthy diet. Okay, I wonder. Oh wow, funded by the Australian Egg Corporation. Oof, that's kind of yikesy. But when not funded by the egg industry, we find that eggs increase overall risk of cardiovascular disease mortality. Kind of crazy. What? conflict of interest can do to your studies. This is my position that I'll absolutely stand by. Most studies that find meat and eggs are good for you are either funded by those industries or have flawed study design. Now, not every single study, but a lot of them will be. Most of them will be. Okay, this part in the middle of her video is an ad, and it's extremely ironic.
Serious. I have a message from my favorite meat delivery company, Good Ranchers. Now, if you haven't heard yet, the FDA approved lab-grown chicken for sale. Yes, meat that is formed in a lab will soon be coming to grocery stores near you. Now, if you prefer your meat grown in a pasture instead of a petri dish,
spooky,
which is so amazing. And it's important to remember that you can't call the scientists in the lab to ask them about their fake meat, but Good Ranchers has a team of people available for you to call and answer all your questions. Real meat.
Okay. If you're so concerned about transparency, of course we love transparency. But Brett and everyone watching, I just challenge you to check out Earthlings, or there's a newer movie called Dominion. And then this next part is literally what vegans say.
I thought that it would be super alienating at first and socially uncomfortable, and it was for the first couple of weeks, but I started doing more research and I started to see how many people were doing the same and how many bars and establishments were also catering to them. Like, you go anywhere now and there are so many fun non-alcoholic drinks, like non-alcoholic wines, non-alcoholic drinks, mocktails, all of that stuff. They are literally catering to people who are choosing not to drink, which is very, very cool, and it definitely makes it easier. And I also started to see how many
Totally. Yeah, 20 years ago, you'd be lucky if you saw a box of soy milk in the grocery store. Now you can go to most restaurants and there's going to be vegan options. There's going to be several vegan options, especially in bigger cities. So yeah, isolation is real, but the more people that do it, the more normalized it becomes.
Celebrities are stopping drinking and are being very, very open about it. Like Blake Lively, who I wildly respect. I think she is so cool. She's an awesome mother. I love how much she loves Ryan Reynolds. She stopped drinking ages ago and has never even done drugs. Tom Holland stopped drinking about a year ago after playing a particularly demanding role in The Crowded Room. And he said the project changed his perspective.
Yeah, so a ton of celebrities are vegan as well. For example, the bigger ones, Joaquin Phoenix from Joker, of course, Billie Eilish, Woody Harrelson, Rainn Wilson. Like, veganism is pretty normal at this point. It's literally just about, do you think that animals should not be killed? That's kind of it. Anyone can be vegan. Then this last part, she talks about stigma a little bit, and then we'll be done with this video.
And in my case, the problem wasn't me. Like, I didn't crave alcohol. It was a social problem because I would go into social situations where everybody was drinking, and that was the pressure. I was like, okay, well, I have to have one. You know, I don't want to, have a stick up my ass. I think that I'm...
Okay. Yeah, so of course this is extremely identical to what vegans say. Look at this article. If I became a vegan, my friends and family would hate me, anticipating vegan stigma as a barrier to plant-based diets. So let's not judge people. Let's let people do what they want, especially if the thing is not hurting anybody else. So Brett, if you're willing to endure being a social outcast just to, not drink alcohol, being vegan gives you a reason to do it for somebody else, to think of all the lives of the animals that would much rather not be in factory farms and not be slaughtered. Do it for them. So yeah, that's all for this video. Hope y'all are doing all right. Enjoy the rest of your Tuesday, and I'll catch you in the next video. This isn't Ben Shapiro's daughter, and she's only 21 years old. Anyway, guys, I'm going to put some pants on. I'm going to grab some coffee. I'm going to try to salvage the rest of the day. Take it easy.